Welcome to
another episode
of Driving to the Res
with
Larry and
Inelia.
yeah, Happy Ba. Happy us.
You may notice that you can't hear the truck right now, but we can make truck sounds. Okay. So this episode of Driving to the Rest is actually getting recorded at the Shaman Shack.
It could be considered our first episode of the Shaman Shack Chronicles.
Could be, which is going to be at Driving to the Rest.
Without the driving.
Yes. Although I don't know if we can have a 3-hour conversation right now. There's a lot going on in the Shaman Shack.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we could have a 3-hour conversation, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to.
Yes. And before we started recording, we had a little chat about what we wanted to bring forth to the table on our podcast. And we looked at certain situations that have been going on, how the energies have been getting amplified, so everything's very visible. And also how many individuals are going to be having timeline choices. A timeline is a concept where whenever you make a major decision in life, your timeline splits. And in one timeline, you'd make one decision. In another timeline, you make a different decision. And that timeline goes off and does something else.
It's kind of like choice points, too. That's another way of describing it. Choice point and a timeline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's where they start.
Yeah.
Each timeline starts at a major choice point.
Right, and you can recognize a choice point timeline shift because at that point you expand out of the game for a moment. You have a little bit of clarity that this is a choice point. You can continue on as you are. You can turn left, you can turn right, or you could make this choice. Whatever it is, that choice is reasonably significant and means you're down a path that goes a certain place. Whatever that place may be, but you have awareness of it. It's like, I know if I do this, this is what will be coming. And if I do this other thing, I maybe don't know what's coming, but it is not that. It can be like that even.
Yeah. Yes.
But you will have enough clarity that you know you're choosing consciously a timeline at this point. Kind of like that.
Yeah. I also wanted to point out that during this period, from now we are in what month? November now. November 2020.
November something. 5th.
Remember the 5th of November when we're recording this. But you'll be listening to it in a few days' time on Monday.
Yeah.
So one of the things to remember on the 5th of November is that these choice points and these timeline points where you're going to be making conscious choices are going to be coming up quite regularly for the next few months. I would say it will probably go on quite intensely this way, both positive and negative choices that you might be encountering. But even sometimes just changes of lifestyle or jobs or relationships and things, but it's not minor things, but you really will know that the way to choose would be to stay in integrity, right? And choose from your ideal self. Because that's going to happen for the next few months. I mean, I would say all the way past March for this type of interaction with reality.
November, December, January, February. 6 months? We've got 6 months of maybe choice points?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I recognize, 1 or 2 or 3 in my lifetime. 1, 2, 3 recognizable periods of time where there was a choice point. And I knew if I went forward with what I was looking at doing, that it was going to alter something majorly. And it might be comfortable or not be comfortable. I don't know. It was, though. Mm-hmm. But that was like 2 or 3 in my lifetime, not
several
6 months of many of them.
Yeah. They're not going to be like huge well, some people will be faced with huge choice points in their life, especially if they're still in a situation where they haven't taken care of business with regards to high frequency code creations. But the majority, the rest of us, will be going through choice points which are like tweaks in the matrix. And it could be as simple as not engaging in an aggressive way when somebody challenges you in the street for whatever reason. Maybe you're not wearing a mask, and somebody becomes righteous and challenges you. Now your physical body will go into flight or fight and get very, very upset or aggressive, but you have to control your physical body at that point. And that's the point where even if you get upset, even if you engage the person at a low frequency, the choice point is to drop it. Drop the low frequency engagement, whether in that moment or later on in the day when your body has calmed down enough for you to be able to drop it. But you will need to drop it. It's going to be one of those things that you're going to have to do.
Don't be the dogs. There's literally nothing going on outside. And they're going to go engage with it.
Yes.
I might have to have a talk with the dogs.
Yeah.
And be their higher self.
I think they think there's some monsters out there. Or they're looking for attention.
They want some attention.
Did you give them food?
I gave Missy food, yes.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't give her enough.
Not enough for her. Yeah.
Well, the choice points, you can probably recognize the high frequency, low frequency path. The high frequency path wouldn't include those things like martyrdom. They wouldn't include things like saving or aggressives. They don't include those lower frequency responses. What high frequency things might you think that would be good guidance? So like you come to a thing and you're a little bit confused, like, gosh, what should I do? Should I tell this person that they should take their mask off themselves and they don't need it? Help them.
No.
Should I
that's a
rip
no.
that mask off their face and tell them? Should I tackle them?
No.
I mean, those are obvious, right?
Yeah.
Should I say anything to them?
No.
So when you're invited to engage, it's not like, is that an invitation for a choice point? Just because somebody come up on you in a store and accosted you about your face mask, is that an actual choice point?
It is
for everyone or just for some?
It is if that person that is in that store and gets challenged carries on with the challenge past that point. It's okay for the physical bodies to get afraid or angry or upset. I mean, that happens. It's our physical bodies. But you're the soul, you're the driver, right? So you take control of that body as soon as you can and you minimize the engagement. And then once you're out of that situation, you calm your physical body down and you put yourself in a higher frequency state by free will. That's your free will. You do it. You don't carry it on. You don't get sick over it, They're more afraid. And it's always about fear, It's like, oh, I'm afraid they're going to engage me. Boom, they engage you.
Yep. That's the slot for it to enter. It's the open door. Yeah. So
stay in integrity. Your choices.
The key is to close those open doors. I mean, keep them closed if you can. Mm-hmm. If you happen to have an open door, you know that it's there. Process the openness about it and close it.
Right.
So I'm afraid of what people are going to think about me. So process that fear, right?
Yeah.
And then you can take on a new mantra, like one that helps your physical body acknowledge your processed state, which would be like in the case of I'm afraid of what those people will think of me. I'm not wearing a mask. Like they have that funny thing that says lions don't really care what the sheep say. I mean, you could carry that mantra with you for a little while.
Yeah, but also within our society, we haven't reached a point where people will become violent with you. So there's actually no reason why you should have to go into righteousness. They're in righteousness. Don't respond with righteousness. Just walk away. You don't have to go there. You can turn your back on them, right? They will not touch you. And if they do, guess what? Don't engage them. You can actually, if somebody touches you to try and get your attention back, you can grab your phone and call 911 in the US, or even pretend that you do, calling the police. You touched me, right? You've assaulted me. And just walk away. They will walk away. They will walk away if you don't carry the energy of engagement. Guaranteed. So that's one choice point that people are going to come through. And even if you are wearing a mask, if you're carrying that energy, you might attract those type of situations.
Yeah, probably, huh?
It's one of those weird things, it's just strange.
So then do you go into blaming yourself if you get accosted? Like, well, you created it, now you got to suffer the consequences? Because I see that happen to people.
See us at a red flag. You're carrying fears inside of you. Use the fear processing exercise. Go to ineliabenz.com, go to the tools, and you can find it in the free section. There's a fear processing exercise. If you want an audio version, you can download it, you can buy it at the store, or you can go to YouTube channel, fear processing exercise, Inelia Benz, and you're going to find it. Use it.
So how about if it hasn't been happening to you and you're curious?
About what?
You haven't been accosted, nobody's giving you any crap at all about it.
Then good. That's not going to be your choice point. Right?
Right.
Maybe it's going to be something else. Do I get a cat or I don't get a cat right now? Do I move house or don't I move house right now? Do I plant a tree in my yard or am I moving out of this house? There's going to be choice points.
Yeah.
And the choice points can come in all sorts of colors and shapes. You had one recently, right, the other day?
Yeah, I had one, and I was aware of it. It was a conscious time, a moment of conscious choice. Do I?
And it wasn't aggressive. It wasn't nothing to do with
nobody
masks.
accosted me. Nobody.
No, there wasn't even other humans around.
It wasn't even a human thing. It was an internal choice point. What frequency do I carry and what response do I have to things? Mm-hmm. So in my case, it was a deer, a baby buck. Actually, I think it was only a few days before that I'd pulled the stag card.
Yeah.
When we were trying to come up to an answer for, an inquiry I had, the stag card came up. And that was a very powerful card at the time.
It was very powerful. And if you remember right, it had to do with your career. It had to do with what to do.
Yeah, it had to do with our career. It had to do with podcasts and fishing and things like that.
Making choice points.
Making choice about where to focus energy.
That's right. Yeah.
And then a couple of days later, we went down to California. We picked up Brett. We didn't go all the way to California. We went to Oregon.
No, Oregon.
We had a nice camp, actually.
Yeah.
That was a nice campground.
Mm-hmm.
And nice drive back. The very next morning, I had to get up extra early, 6 o'clock, and drive to the res, pick up the boat, drive it to Port Townsend, which is, about 12 or 15 hours of boat ride. And the day before that, one of my crewmen, the main crewman who I've been fishing with for the last few years, he quit to go crabbing. So I was like, short-handed.
And the other deckhands, one of them's
the
pregnant.
The deckhand's pregnant. She's
chemicals.
not going to be around chemicals. So I was like, man, I have to haul out this 70-foot boat, paint the whole thing by myself. Mm-hmm. Woe is me, because I'm all alone. But it was a bit of frustration. And I think that's when we pulled the card. When we were talking about that, it's like, well, got to get some clarity around this. So we pulled the stag card. Anyways, I'm driving to the res to drive the boat to Port Townsend. This is the 5th time I've rescheduled this haul out for the boat. It needs its haul out. And when we pull it out of the water, we paint the bottom and scrape out the barnacles and put zincs on and, make sure that it's not leaking and it's preserved against marine life going into the wood because it's a wood boat. So, it's important. And 1 mile down the road from the Shamachak, driving along, and a deer jumped out of the ditch into the side of the truck. It wasn't in front of me. It went into the side of the truck. And it banged off of the door and the fender a little bit. And I'm driving, and I'm like, I have my substitute crewman there. It's going to show up in 30 minutes. We're going to get on the boat. We drive 15 hours. Every minute that I waste now is a minute later I will get to Port Townsend, and already it's going to be midnight when I get there because we're going to wait for the store, get some food, get on the boat, and head to Port Townsend. And midnight's a pretty late night, especially if you got to haul the boat the next morning. And so this deer bounced off the car, and I looked in the mirror and I didn't see anything. It's like, oh, hopefully he just ran off into the woods. Boy, that was scary. And that was when the choice point came, because I could just continue on. I didn't see anything. I saw a deer hit the truck. I didn't see a deer in the mirror. I didn't see a deer in the road. Deer's probably fine, just ran away into the woods.
However, you're a shaman from a lineage of healers, Native American healers. You can't walk away into...
I can't, I can.
You could have made that choice.
And that was the choice that I had at the point. Was I looked at it and I went inside to see, what am I going to do about this? Because the last thing on the planet I want to deal with right now is an injured deer.
Because that means you're going to have to stay at the shaman shack.
Well, because that means the time that I have to get to the boat and move it to Port Townsend, and all of that is going to be altered. Plus, it's an injured animal, and I have a soft heart, and I don't like injured animals.
And you're a healer.
You know, a healer. Yeah. Have to, you know. So I'm sitting there driving, and I drive for about maybe 2 seconds, probably 1.5 seconds.
Yes.
And I pulled right over and I turned around to look, because to make sure that, you know, the deer is fine or what's going on with that deer. And I drove back, and right there, right in the ditch, is a poor baby buck, maybe 6 months old, and he can't get up, and he's alive and scared, and his back legs ain't working, and his front legs only half working. So I was like, oh my gosh, too big for me to pick up by myself. So I turned around, parked the truck, went over and had a talk with him, put my rain gear over his head so that he would be dark and he'd calm down for a little while. And then I decided, well, you know, he's got to be either put down or healed. And
you can't just leave him there.
You can't just leave him there as is, because that's not okay. So at that point, the choice was, well, the boat, moving it to Port Townsend, that's just off the table. Doesn't matter if I don't go or do go. I just have to change it, because that life is more important than making an appointment on time to me. That's the choice point at that time. I could do any of the either. I could just say, well, let nature do its thing, you know. It wasn't me. I didn't run over the thing. It ran into the truck. Mm. I have responsibilities to take care of this XYZs and those things. And those are true. But this particular choice point was about how I feel about life and the sanctity of it, and healing and caring for, and, you know, responsibility for, well, the stag. Yes. The stag energy. What am I going to do?
Are you going to take care of Bambi?
Am I going to take care of this stag? Am I going to be welcoming the stag energy into my life, or am I going to ignore it and move into the old same that I'm comfortable with, right? Yeah. So it was a choice point.
Yeah, and then when you got home, I remember, well, when you got to the shaman shack, you arrived, and you were still in a hurry because you had to get back to the boat. It's still kind of that energy.
I had a little bit of boat energy. It's like, well, maybe I can squeeze both in.
Yeah. And I
didn't feel that.
No, but it was still a little bit there. So just to make sure, the Suburban got stuck in the mud. You could not move it.
I went and I got some help. We went back. We picked the stag up, put it in the back of the Suburban, brought him to the shaman shack, backed the Suburban up to the chicken coop, got some hay and made a bedding for it, put it in there, and figured, you know, we'll let it be, check it over. It didn't have any bones sticking out. It was just, might have a broken hip. It might have, who knows what internal injuries. We don't know. But we'll do a little bit of healing on him and let him make a decision overnight and see how he is in the morning. Because basically that's what they did with our dog. That's what they do every time, is give them a chance to decide if they want to stay or they're ready to go. Either way, they're safe from
predators and
being harassed.
Horrible death. At least they will be somewhere safe to pass away in peace.
Yeah. And also canceled the haul out. Called the boy and told him, you know, things take priority, and I'm sorry, but we're not going to make that appointment. And he was actually extremely supportive about it. Said, not a problem, not even a worry. We'll just call and figure out another day, another time. Don't worry about it. So for me internally, that was a choice point. And it was about what frequency do I accept and what am I going to allow into me and what are going to be my drives? What is going to drive me and cause me to act? You know what I guess? I guess I could say that.
Yeah.
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 It's not easy to put it into words, but I guess in a sense, do I care about what's the priority, right?
Yeah. And I remember on Hallows End, we had a Halloween party, and one of our friends, one of my students, did a seance as part of her practice. It was the first group seance that she'd done.
Right.
And my mother came through, and she was a healer. She was a healer when she was alive. And one of the things that she wanted to talk to Larry about was his healing capacity, his shamanic healing. And for her, the path was clear. What are you doing, wasting your time doing anything else?
Well, that wasn't about me. That was about someone else.
No, that was about you too. You were trying to, yes, there was somebody else there that she put a lot of attention on, and she could not understand why he wasn't healing, right?
Right.
But then she turned to you and said the same to you. She did. Mm-hmm. And it was like, why are you not doing this full time? Why are you not concentrating on it? There's more to healing than just fixing people and things or even animals. And I know that since last summer, you have healed Doggy Woggy,
Lucy,
a crow, a pigeon.
We did have a crow. We did have a pigeon.
No, a deer.
A deer.
So yeah. And it's just like before the one ends, another one arrives. It's constant.
Lucy is almost done. She has just a tiny little dot of healing done. And now basically this stag has exactly the same injuries that Lucy had.
That's interesting, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's interesting that it was a baby stag, and the energy of the stag came to you, and you sat with that energy for a while to try and get clarity also on how to proceed with it, right? And the stag, from a druid perspective, is the king of this forest, you know. It's a very masculine energy and very revered, a leadership kind of energy, very healing for the earth, the planet, and the people and the animals. But also within the Native American traditions, the stags are like givers, you know. They give a lot. They give they're looked after, but they also give their flesh, and they give their the leather, and even the stag.
The horn antlers.
The antlers are used in sacred ways. So it's not without consequence that energy comes into your life.
No, it wasn't. And it felt like that. And I guess that's really what I'm trying to say, is the choice point was about accepting that stag energy into my life or not. Mm-hmm. So it was still a choice, and it's a choice point, right? And it doesn't mean that if I had ignored it and went on and not accepted the stag energy, that it would have been like the earthquakes would have happened and the planet would have died or anything, you know?
Well, we don't know.
We'll tell you later. Okay. No, I mean, it was,
I think it would
personally significant, but it might not have
been
planetarily significant. It's just that was the choice to accept or not. It wasn't forced. I mean, it was sort of like given at the level of you cannot ignore that the choice is there. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
It wasn't a ignore it level choice. You can't
ignore it.
Miss it.
And it was like, for you personally, it was a choice, but for another person, it wasn't. They would have just looked at, they must have run off. And they would have driven on. They wouldn't have even stopped or thought that they had to check, you know? Another person, a hunter, would have come go,
whoa,
great.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
Meat.
And they would have killed him instantly and put him in the truck and harvested it, you know? So it's the choices are, it was like custom made for you, really quite significant in that way. And I'm thinking that that's the reason I wanted you to share this experience is because it feels to me that many people out there are going to come up with very custom made choices for their life. That's how it's going to feel. It's going to be like, if it was anybody else, it wouldn't have been an issue.
It wouldn't even
but
be
it's
probably
me,
significant, right?
Not significant at all, but for me it's extremely significant, and I have to make a choice. And so that's why I want you to express maybe a little more of why was it an obvious choice for you? Was one low frequency and one high frequency, or is it not completely unrelated? Was it about your lifestyle? What is it about? How did you feel that?
Well, for me, it was, well, I suppose, you just have to look at the, for me part, which was that days before, at a significant point in my energy field, I felt very defeated, actually. At a significant point of what felt like defeat, I asked for clarity to understand better what this was about. Because defeat is like you've lost a battle or something, right? And you're trying really hard to win. Yeah.
And it was related to your fishing.
Well, it was related to fishing because my deckhand had just texted he was going to go crabbing, and the next day we were supposed to drive the boat, and he didn't know about that. But before I even asked him, hey, let's go move the boat and do our haul out, he was already going somewhere else. So it was kind of like one more thing about fishing that made it stop, Yeah. So I felt defeated about it.
And there had been a history of other times that you couldn't go out fishing because of one thing or another.
Oh, it's been going on for a couple of years, really, or 3.
Yeah. So it's not new.
It's not new, and it's like it has culminated, at a point where, everybody knows the coronavirus stuff. We finally had our fishing settled in, right? And finally we're going catch greenies and rockfish, and finally things were going good. We had a great market. And finally we went out and we went and caught some fish, and the weather was nice, and the very day we delivered, then they had the coronavirus crap. Yeah. And then lost our market for all of that, and haven't been able to do any more of that since March.
I know, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It has been a little bit of a choice point.
Yeah. That's kind of like fishing is hard and it's a little tough, but
it's like that's where the defeat energy was coming through.
Yeah, the defeat energy came through. It was like fine. I was like, fine, give up. I felt, but just help me understand, what is this about? And when we did that and pulled a card, the card that came out was the stag card, and the stag card was very significant because it didn't say you're defeated. No. It had nothing to do with defeat.
I'm going to read it actually because
I don't even
we
think
have
it's
it right
in that
here.
one. It's in your other deck. Your deck.
Oh, is it? Can you go and fetch it?
I could. I think it's in the camper, isn't it?
Yeah, we might not be
Or it might be in that.
Yeah.
Your red one.
Let's see if we can find this card, because I think it would be really good to read it. The card was pretty significant. Good job. It's in my purse.
Yeah. So, it took the defeat energy away and allowed me to just accept, okay, shift happens, and the shift isn't bad, it's fine. Just allow it to be. So
for reference, I'd just like to say that the cards that I use are some cards that I found online. I just find them very beautiful. I have no financial reward or connection with the authors of this card. Although I should start charging them.
Maybe you should.
The card is by Kyle Gray, Angels and Ancestors Oracle Cards Guidebook. Okay, so the stag, and trust and thrive is the energy of the card. Yeah, trust and thrive was like, if you feel defeated, and then the card you pull, the little words at the bottom are trust and thrive. That's definitely the opposite of defeated. Yes. Just trust the process and begin and allow thrive, right? And then the text of the card is even more interesting. So the message is, come alive and thrive. Stand in your light and glory with grace and majesty.
Well, that's easy.
About. The stag card brings graceful and powerful medicine into your life. In the Celtic traditions, the stag with his crown and antlers is known as the king of the forest, and is a totem that brings protection in challenging times. In Native American traditions, he is greatly loved, for stags and deer provide food for the people and materials that have allowed them to create medicine items such as drums, rattles, and smudge fans. Although the stag has been hunted in the past and still is, he has strength, dignity, and poise. When this card arises, it can also represent fertility and sexuality. So, the journey, an extended message, you have an opportunity to thrive. Trust in all that you have to offer, all of your gifts, strengths, and power, and make the most of it. You were born to lead, and this can only become a reality when you're willing to put yourself in that position. Stag energy allows you to feel safe because the antlers keep away anything that could interfere with your intelligence and presence. And their strength gives you the power to be agile in your thinking. You'll be encouraged to retain your dignity and be proud of who you are and all that you have accomplished. This in turn will give you even more power to thrive onward and upward.
Onward and upward. So, I haven't had deer hit deer in my life, actually, even though there's tons and tons of them around. So, when a deer ran into the side of the truck, it was a big shock to me. And it looked right in my eyes because he was eye level, and right at the window, looking right at me. I'm like, my gosh.
Those beautiful big eyes.
Giant, beautiful eyes, right? And so, because of the card, because of the energy, because of the agreement to allow the energy in, and you still have to agree. Yeah, he's a baby. He doesn't have giant hearts, just little nubs. But he's still a stag.
Yeah.
And he's forming, right?
Yeah, he is forming.
So, yeah, those are some of the reasons why it felt significant to me personally at the time, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe it isn't to someone else, but it is at the time for me. Yeah. It was recognizable to me as a choice point. Yeah. It wasn't a small thing.
No.
It felt, how many deer get hit by a car in a year? 100,000, a million?
Yeah.
It's not a significant event, but for me, it was clearly recognizable as one. So that's, I guess, what I was saying anyway, is about these choice points. You will recognize them. There won't be any mistake.
They will be specially orchestrated for you to make these choices.
Yeah.
So, and if you follow through with the guidance, if you stay in integrity and follow your intuition rather than push through other things that you shouldn't be doing or that didn't feel quite resonant at the time. Because I asked you afterwards too, remember? I said, did you have any nigglings, any feelings that you shouldn't be taking the north out right now? And you said yes.
I kind of did. I kind of had a feeling. I was like, gosh, it's raining like crazy. It's windy.
How are you going to paint it in?
I have a lot of work ahead that I'm not really looking forward to. My knees sore. And feel obligated to do it.
But you also had some nightmares, didn't you, about it? Or some
I don't
thoughts,
remember.
some weird thoughts that were coming into your mind about everything burning up at the...
Oh, yeah, there was the election thing and the riots that might happen and the boatyard burning. And do I want the boat out of the water or in the water if I want to depend on my boat and I can't get it in the water? Or there was fears and things like that going on.
Yeah.
So I felt personally more comfortable having it in the water, although I wish it had been already taken out of the water, put back in. But thankfully, Jason has already dove on the boat, put zincs on there. I'm not worried about that.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. But, for me, the frequency choice was lower frequency path, ignore the thing that I am, which is a healer, and ignore the stag energy, ignore that stuff, was the low frequency choice. A high frequency choice was to accept the energy and to heal and to not leave something suffering in the bush, maybe,
I know, yeah.
Responsible.
Right.
So I felt like a choice between a high and a low frequency choice point. Maybe higher, maybe lower. Maybe not all low, because taking care of the boat and providing for your family, that's not a low frequency thing.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, whether it was a low frequency, high frequency choice point, or it was something else completely. Because when I looked at it, it actually didn't feel like a low frequency, high frequency choice. It was just a different life. It was almost like you chose a different life at that point.
Right. That's more accurate. That's kind of why I was having trouble describing it, because it doesn't feel like a low frequency thing to take care of your boat. It isn't.
No, it isn't.
And I could easily have come back, checked, see the deer's hurt, bring it, put it in the cage, jump in the car, head out. And
hope for the best.
Hope for the best, you know? But that's not what we did. That's not what I did.
Right.
The deer is still alive, and he's in poor shape, but he's got a choice.
Chance.
He's got a choice.
He's
got a choice, and he's fully supported to choose either way.
Yeah. It was really funny earlier. I was sitting down on the computer, and I could almost feel and hear the deer calling Larry, but he was busy doing other things, so he didn't hear him. So I had to tell Larry, you have to go out there right now. Your deer needs you right now.
Oh, I heard him. I was already getting up to go. And he said, deer wants you. I was like, how'd you know? Yeah, I could tell.
And he just needed pets and comfort.
He just needed pets and comfort. And I was, I was a little surprised, because the reading that I did, which, by the way, is pretty freaking hard to do, there isn't much information about deer.
No, there isn't.
There's a bunch about fawns, and fawns are pretty typical. You find a fawn and the mother's shot, and they have a baby fawn. You raise them with a bottle feed, and that kind of makes them a little bit difficult because they become human.
Right.
And at a certain point, like this one's about 6 months old, he's wild. He's wild. He's not desiring human company.
But he did desire your company earlier. He called you in.
He did desire my company.
Yeah, he did.
And he put he felt the comfort.
Yeah.
Put his head on my lap and wanted soothing and healing and energy and whatever, Yeah. And a little bit of that. What are those little white dots?
Oh, the homeopathic tablets.
Yeah, he got one homeopathic tablet. I gave him one. The something.
I can't remember the name of it actually, but it's for broken bones and.
Right, I gave him that one dot, and 2 or 3 seconds after that, he started eating.
Yeah.
He ate a chunk of an apple.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally an hour before he was gone. Basically,
he had so good.
His candle had burned all the way down, and it was basically out. I pet him for about half an hour and told him, what a strong boy he is, and he can have a new body.
Yeah.
He can keep this one, and he's fully supported either which way. He doesn't have to worry about which choice he picks. Both of them will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to him, but he's a strong boy and can do what he likes.
Yeah.
And he started breathing more, and then he, thought about getting up a couple of times, but he can't get up quite yet. Don't cry, honey. And then, you can cry if you want. And then he laid his head on my lap and pet him for about 10 minutes. He'd like sit on his head, and then he got a good scratch under his ears, and he liked to scratch under his ears just like a dog. He's like, closed his eyes and leaned his head into it. It's like, oh God, that feels good. And then I let him lay there for a while and come in. And then I got a call, that you heard, your deer wants you. And I went out there, and I think that's when you gave me the homeopathic medicine finally. But I went out there, and he wanted some attention and pettings, and he hadn't eaten or drank anything, maybe drank some water. But, he was on the fence still. But once I gave him the homeopathic medicines, he started to eat 3 seconds after. I couldn't believe it. And he didn't eat a lot. He ate a few bites, And he nibbled it out of the grass. He's got hay all over it. He's nibbled in there and picked up little pieces of apple, and one of the pieces was too big, so I had to cut it smaller for him. And he'd eat it little pieces, but he's got life force.
He does. Comes and goes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's decided yet. I mean.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But
we'll see how he gets on. hopefully he'll live.
Yeah, I prefer he lives, and that's
Me
what I
too.
told him. I prefer that he lives. Just
Yeah.
I prefer life over death.
Yeah.
But if it's too hard for him and he doesn't want to,
Yeah, he can.
heal,
Yeah.
he can exit and have another fun life.
Occasion. Yeah. He
Pretty
can
fast.
reestablish a new expression of physicality in a baby form. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, choice points. Pretty harsh, man. But, like I said, to summarize, in the next coming months, you're going to have choice points of timeline choice points coming up quite intensely. And some of them are engagements to go into the low frequency stuff, but not all of them will be. Some of them are choices of life that will take you in different paths,
Yeah,
right?
just different paths.
And to stay high frequency, to stay in integrity, to make those choices of who you really are and what do you want to express in this new paradigm. And stay strong, check in with everybody that you love, and don't engage at low frequencies. I've got tons of articles if you haven't read them, and recordings on how to deal with low frequency loved ones, especially during the holidays. So
Low frequency loved ones, especially during the holidays and the elections.
The elections and everything else. So know that it's not about disconnecting from them, but actually it's disconnecting the low frequency engagements that you have with them. And there's that ways that you can communicate and love your people without feeding into their psychosis. So the world hasn't gotten more mad than before. It's the same, except that now it's highly visible and you can no longer ignore it. That's what it is. So choice points coming up, and stay true to yourself, and use the tools, man.
I guess if you have questions, there's a way to ask questions now.
Yeah, so you go to podcasts with an S at the end, .ineliabenz.com, and then you click on the about, and you have a form there that you can fill in to send questions and things.
And if you can't remember all that, just go to ineliabenz.com.
You can send an email.
And then on there will be one of the tags for shows, I think, or something like that. No, it's not another contact. It's like, I don't remember.
But that would be easier.
It shows, I think, but it shows two things on it. If you get to the podcast tab, then it'll be the place, right?
Right. Or you can join Walk With Me Now and talk
just
to me
ask it
directly.
directly.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, talk to us directly. So thank you for listening today.
Wait.
Wait.
I thought that there was a chance that you might pull a card for the listeners.
Oh, yeah.
Similar to the one I had when they're, if anyone is at that point where they might have that little feeling of defeat or whatever it is that you feel, what might the angels and ancestors have to give as guidance moving forward?
Yeah.
For the next 5 months, that is March, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a good idea, because I have felt that energy of defeat myself in last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
Also.
I remember when that came in. I was like, I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah. But.
Yeah. We both felt it. Huh?
Yeah. Different reasons and different aspects of our lives, but definitely it was there. So if you are feeling that way, if you're getting there or you're getting tired of this madness being so visible and in your face, let's have a look and see what the human ancestors will like to communicate with us with regards to this time period and what to focus on as we move forward. Okay? So I'll just put one card. Oh, that's not ready, actually. Okay.
Yeah,
Shuffle it a little bit more. Okay. Got it. And the card is the Water Guardian. Let's see what the Water Guardian tells us.
Water Guardian.
Connect with your emotions.
Wow.
That's what she says. Connect with your emotions. What pops for me are her wings, actually.
Yeah, she looks like an angel.
Yeah, she looks like an angel. And she's got something in her forehead that brings to me the energy of the third eye. So like, be aware, be highly aware, don't shut down your senses. But it's to do with emotions. Let's see. The water guardian.
She has beautiful blue hair. I mean, it's not all blue. It's brown hair with blue streaks.
Yeah.
I think we should do that with your hair, honey.
Let's do it with your hair.
Well, my hair isn't long enough. Yours is just like her
Well,
hair.
your beard then.
I think we're going to do this with your hair, honey.
No, that's not going to happen. Okay, water guardian, the message. Take time to understand how you really feel. And that's exactly what we're talking about today.
Exactly.
Exactly
How
what
do you
we're talking
really
about.
feel?
How do you really feel about things?
Nothing.
Know that your sensitivity is not a curse but a gift that allows you to receive and understand messages directly from your soul.
Oh.
About water is the element that is in your blood, your tears, and your flesh. The water guardian represents the angels of water who can help you dive within to understand the depth of your emotions. These angels are all about helping you see that your emotions aren't just the feelings that are on the surface. They're also the old emotions you may have locked up deep within the shadow of your soul. Through helping you acknowledge your deepest emotions, the angels of water help you to hear the messages these have for you and to unlock your intuitive powers and the energies of abundance. This what reminds me, this part of the card reminds me that the part of being visible, how I said earlier, the wall hasn't gone more mad than before. It's just now very visible. It's in your face. And I'm thinking that if you are holding on to old stories and all nasty emotions inside of you, they're going to get on your face. They're going to come up to be released. Extended message. Your angels want you to know that it's okay to feel the emotions that are surfacing in you at this time. It doesn't matter if they're joyous or sad. They're all powerful messengers that allow you to understand what you want and need. Again, the emotions and the wants and the needs. It's going to be clear. Yeah, it's going to be clear, man. Taking time to breathe and acknowledge them lets them flow through you rather than crashing down on you in an overwhelming wave. Note that there are also intuitive psychic messages arising in you at this time, and unless you acknowledge everything as it comes up, you may miss important guidances that can lead you to support and love.
Whoa, don't miss those guidances.
Right. Yeah. So trust in your emotions. Know that negative...
Emotions as guidance.
Yes, emotions as guidance. But also if they're negative, know that there's processing you can do to let go of those stories. Okay? So when we felt the energies of defeat, we sought guidance. We didn't use it in any other way. It's not a useful emotion. It's like a very disabling emotion. But we didn't ignore it either. We processed it, we delved into it, and we found guidance to pull us through it, right?
Yeah, that was very good guidance, I thought.
Yeah. Me too, yeah. All right. Do you feel complete, darling?
Yes, in this case, I do feel complete, and I have absolute certainty that questions might come, and I hope that they do, because that will add to the completeness.
That's great. Thank you.
Love you, honey.
I love you too, honey.